Okay, when you think of Greenland, what's the first image that pops into your head? For pretty much everyone, it's just this huge, solid white block of ice, right? And, that's not totally wrong, but it's not the whole story. Not even close. Greenland's geography is way more complex and frankly more fascinating than you might think. Let's dig in.
This quote right here, it absolutely nails the central puzzle of Greenland. It's this giant paradox. The world's biggest island is defined not by its land, but by the ice that's covering it. So in this explainer, we're going to peel back those layers of ice and really get to know this incredible place.
To get a grip on Greenland, you have to start with the main character of its story, the Greenland ice sheet. And look, this isn't just some feature on the island. For all intents and purposes, it is the island's reality. It dictates everything, the climate, the weather, and even where life itself is possible.
So get this, a staggering 80% of Greenland's entire surface is buried under this one massive, continuous sheet of ice. I mean, just try to imagine that. It's a scale of frozen water that's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
And to put that 80% into perspective, we're talking about an area of about 1.7 million square kilometers. That's bigger than Mexico. It makes this, by far, the largest single chunk of ice in the entire northern hemisphere. It's a true planetary giant.
And it's not just wide, it is unbelievably deep. In some spots in the interior, the ice is over 3 kilometers. That's almost 2 miles thick. Can you imagine the sheer weight of all that ice just pressing down on the bedrock underneath? It's immense.
But here's the thing. This ice sheet isn't just sitting there. No way. It's a living, breathing, dynamic system. The best way to think about it is like a continent-sized river, just in super slow motion. Snow piles up in the middle, gets crushed down into ice over centuries, and then gravity takes over, making it flow constantly outward toward the sea.
So, if a whopping 80% of the island is this uninhabitable dome of ice, where do people actually live? Well, the answer is, literally, on the edge. All of life in Greenland is squeezed into this very narrow, ice-free strip of land along the coast. And this really shows you the two different Greenlands. Out on the coast, you've got a tundra climate, you've got actual mountains and fjords, and that's where everybody lives. But head inland, and it's a completely different world. It's a high, frozen, ice-capped climate where absolutely nothing but ice can survive.
So what makes this little coastal fringe livable? Well, it's a few key things coming together. First, you've got exposed rock, actual land. Then you have these stunningly deep fjords that were carved out by glaciers ages ago, creating pathways to the sea. And crucially, the ocean is right there, which helps keep the temperatures from getting as brutally cold as they are in the interior. This whole mix created the perfect spots for towns to pop up and for traditional hunting routes to form over hundreds of years.
If you want a perfect picture of this, look no further than the Illiset Ice Fjord. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and for good reason. It's basically a superhighway for icebergs, channeling them from the massive ice sheet right out into the ocean. It's this dramatic, powerful connection between that frozen interior and the living coast.
But even this livable coastal area isn't all the same, not at all. You can actually break it down into 4 pretty distinct regions, each with its own personality, all wrapped around that huge ice sheet in the middle.
First up, you've got the West. This is the Greenland most people know. It's the most populated, the most accessible, and that's mainly thanks to a warm ocean current that keeps its waters pretty much ice-free all year. It's no surprise that this is where you'll find the capital city, Nuuk, and most of the country's towns.
Now flip over to the East Coast and it's a whole different story. It's way more isolated and rugged. A cold current drags a ton of sea ice down from the Arctic, which can make getting there by boat impossible for big chunks of the year. It's just a wilder, tougher place to live.
Then, if you head south, you get to what some people call subarctic Greenland. Now, it's still chilly, don't get me wrong, but the climate is definitely milder than the rest of the country. This means you actually see a lot more green in the summer, and it's even possible to do some small-scale farming in some of the more sheltered areas.
And finally, there's the north. This is the high Arctic. We're talking about a place ruled by extreme polar conditions, months of total darkness in the winter and the midnight sun in the summer. The distances between the tiny settlements are enormous, and life there is built around surviving in one of the toughest environments on our planet.
All right, so we've talked about the massive ice sheet on top and the coastal fringe where people live. But there is one final layer to this whole story, a hidden landscape that, honestly, changes everything we think we know.
So what's actually under all that ice? If you could magically lift up those 2 miles of frozen water, what would the island of Greenland really look like?
Well, the answer is pretty mind-blowing.
Underneath that smooth white surface is a hidden world of incredibly rugged terrain. We're talking massive mountain ranges, deep canyons, a whole complex landscape that has been completely hidden from human eyes for millennia by the ice sheet sitting on top of it.
So to really get Greenland, you have to picture it in 3 layers. You've got this coastline civilization wrapped around a moving, dynamic world of ice, which itself is sitting on top of a hidden mountainous island that nobody has ever truly seen. And that really leaves us with a final thought. Greenland isn't just an island of ice. It's an island where, for all of human history, we've only ever been able to see the very edges. Its true, rugged heart remains hidden deep beneath a frozen world. And you have to wonder, as that ice continues to change, what other secrets is that hidden landscape about to reveal?